Ready? 1, 2, 3.
We are here!
Fantastic. So here we are in 1871. Thank you for participating in that. The other thing that I want to share before I introduce these fantastic folks is that I think, back to my classroom also, I used to teach a civics class. And I would start by saying, some of us are pioneers, and some of us are settlers. And there is no shame in being a settler, because it meant that you created space for people to come home to. That you created cultures, and towns, and cities, and made things real. The pioneers were the ones who went off into the world and did things that had not yet been seen. So tonight, we have got 4 amazing women who are pioneers. And because this is Ara, I have to quote Ara Kelly. Do you have to? I do. I have to. We're just going to forget about the person and go to the lyrics. And the lyrics are, if I can see it, I can be it. And we teach this all the time. I mean, this is a tenet of education, is to expose kids to STEM careers, is to expose kids to business, to leadership, to all of those things. Well, the pioneers that are here, maybe they couldn't see it in front of them. Maybe there wasn't another woman who sort of paved the way for them. And that they are the ones that we've been waiting for. So I'm so excited. We are here for you, ladies. Okay, so I'm going to start out by having you guys share a little bit about your background and what you're up to today. And let's start with Stephanie.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Are we starting with the shortest? Is that what happened?
No, it just said, no, start with. Always start with the goat, right? Like.
My name's Stephanie Izard. I have Girl and the Goat and Little Goat in Chicago. We brought the sandwiches tonight for little snacks. I'm more about the cookies usually. I had a cookie for lunch today from our catering. I have Girl and the Goat and Little Goat. I started out in the industry when I, right after college, I actually didn't know what I was going to do. Long story short, I was a sociology major just because there was classes 2 days a week, and I was like, sweet, I can go work in the Olive Garden in between. And my introduction into the restaurant world was at the Olive Garden, and just learning that it's a bunch of crazy people that just want to have fun, but also are very driven, and yeah, I guess that little bit of crazy is what really drew me in. But I went to culinary school right after college, opened my first restaurant. It's now been 11 years ago, when I was 27. I just someone said, you're good, you should just open your own restaurant. I was like, all right. So I quit my job, bought a building. This was back in the economy. I was like, yeah, you're 27, here's some money to buy a building. I don't know how that, I'm still not sure how that worked. I have to find that baker again sometime. But luckily with all the folks around me, I was asked tonight earlier who my mentor was, and I think it's the people around me in various areas. I reached out to restaurateurs I'd worked for, friends who had opened businesses, all those different people to help me get where I was. And now, years later, there was Top Chef in between, and then which was it's one of those jumping off points, which helped me get to where I am today. I met my partners, opened Girl and the Goat now a little over 4 years ago, Little Goat a little over 2 years ago, or almost 2 years ago, and opening another restaurant next summer. I can't tell you about it because my PR rep is sitting in front chilling. So that's me.
Awesome, thanks, Stephanie.
Thanks for having me.
Great. Connie, how about you?
Good evening, Connie Lindsay. It's exciting to be here, and I'm glad you're all here with us. I'm an executive vice president at Northern Trust, headquartered here in Chicago, a global organization. Also, immediate past president of Girl Scouts of the USA. How many Girl Scouts in the room? And Northern Trust is also a big supporter of I See Stars. So excited about being here. Started my career in finance, but growing up I wanted to be a social worker, an attorney, a finance person, and save the world and still be home in time for dinner.
Right, and there you are. That's fantastic. Fantastic, thank you. Okay, Stephanie. Sarah, sorry.
It's easy to confuse us. Just about a foot difference. Yeah, it's the hair. What says it? I'm Sarah Spain. I work for ESPN Radio here in Chicago, and then I'm a writer and TV host for ESPNW on the national side, which is a branch of ESPN geared towards female athletes and sports fans. We cover both men's and women's sports and try to give them sort of an equal space and somewhere people can go if they really want to know as much about what's going on in the world of women's sports as men's, or they want to hear it from a female perspective, which is sometimes hard to find. We don't have any galleries of wives and girlfriends or calendar shoots, which is great. So I grew up around here. I went to Cornell out in New York. I was a heptathlete. I was always into sports, but I actually wanted to be on Saturday Night Live or host Talk Soup. I'm really good at making fun of people, but in that nice way where they don't hate you, so I was like, that's what I should do. Unfortunately, when I moved to LA, I really wasn't that good at any of those things. And I started doing a TV hosting boot camp to try to host shows, and they asked you what you were an expert in, and I said sports, because I wasn't a HGTV person or news, interested in straight news. And once I started doing it for the class, I was like, why have I never thought about this as a job? And I realized it was because most of the women on TV, the very few women in sports, were either sort of a bubbly sideline reporter who had just a couple minutes time, or a very, very serious anchor woman who had to be so serious so that people would know that she knew what she was talking about. And I decided I'm just going to do it my way. I'm going to take all of my Second City improv background and all of my desire to make sports be entertainment instead of news, and I'm going to try to make a space for myself that doesn't really exist. Thankfully, there are now other women in the sports realm that are doing the kind of conversational, comedic approach, but they really weren't there before. So anyway, I got a job at Fox Sports, working as a PA on the lowest level possible, worked my way up to doing some behind-the-scenes producing, and then when I started to get to be more on camera and doing more writing, I moved back to Chicago at the end of 2008. And I've actually joined ESPN in 2010, and so I've been there for over 4 years now, and I love it.
Thanks, Sarah. And last but not least, of course, the Colonel.
Oh! I was one of those noisy girls. So growing up, I knew I would be lousy as a secretary or a nurse. I didn't necessarily want to be a teacher. I did want to be a fireman. I did want to be a weatherman. And I wanted to be a priest, so everybody laughed at me. So when the military opened up women training with men as equals, it was an experiment the year I came in. I was like, ooh, sign me up. It was not based on a lot of logic. I get seasick, so it couldn't be the Navy. I hate flying, so it couldn't be the Air Force. The Marines weren't taking women, so it was the Army. Had a great life. Ended up here as an Army Reserve soldier, which I love because I also got to work at Argonne National Laboratory, be in the reserves, and raise my family here in Illinois. And then I ran Homeland Security for the great state of Illinois, and the governor went to jail. Does not help one's career. I could not get interviews, let alone a job. But the one thing I could get was speaking gigs on leadership. So I found that my unique stories were universal lessons for everyone. And then I did the hardest thing I knew how, is I actually wrote a book, my unique stories with universal lessons for everyone. So that's what I'm doing now. And I'm living the passion. And so I am so glad that I lost everything, because it gave me the chance to be what I really want to be, which is a professional speaker and an author.
Awesome.